People write anything on the internet these days. I mean, look at this article. It says the MG8 PHEV, which is this car, gets a claimed range of 1655 kilometers on a single tank of fuel and a little bit of more battery. Unbelievable? That's what I thought. Who is this writer anyway? Turns out that's a very credible source. I know the writer quite well, and that corroborates with what MG has said in their press release very accurately. But let's not gloss over the mileage bit, the 1655 kilometers of claimed range, because if you think about it, that's not a car range. That's basically a road trip from Ras Al Khaimah to Liva, two completely opposite sides of the UAE and back, and still have enough fuel and maybe a little bit more of charge to basically sit through peak traffic in Dubai and Sharjah. But you might say, that's just a marketing gimmick. But MG didn't just say it. They actually went ahead and got themselves a Guinness World Record for the longest distance traveled by a PHEV with this car. So either MG has cracked some black magic hybrid technology, or the rulebook for what PHEVs can do has just been rewritten. So in this review of the MG8 PHEV, we'll be finding out how this crazy range claims translate to real-world UAE driving, what other impressive things it has inside the cabin, and if the MG8 actually makes you feel something, or is it just more for economy enthusiasts? I'm Yash, you're watching The Connie Impression. Let's get on with it. First, let's address the elephant in the room, the claimed 1655 kilometers of range. Now, the car manages that because it has two powertrains, one a 1.5 litre petrol engine and another an electric motor. Now, from what I have understood, the electric power always reigns supreme, primarily in this car. And even though you can choose between switching from EV power only to hybrid power as well, the car for some reason manages to push out electric power first. And that kind of makes sense, because why wouldn't you? Since electric power is relatively cheaper and it's more energy efficient, and you can have it regenerated while driving courtesy of regenerative braking, which we'll get to in a second, and as well as the petrol power also powering the batteries while driving in certain situations, so that you always have some EV power on hand. With the MG8 PHEV, you get around 100 kilometers of EV range only. And if you ask me, that is good enough. That is more than enough if your daily commuting is just within the city limits of Dubai, Abu Dhabi or Sharjah. And if you keep your EV batteries charged up regularly, your trip to petrol stations, which usually would happen once in every week, would just transition to maybe once in 3 weeks. What a blissful life that would be. Which brings me to an important question I have for you. Ask yourself, how much time in your life do you really waste in petrol stations or even sitting in traffic? Now, the solution for petrol stations I might have given you. However, I had an interesting realization while driving the MG8 in peak traffic. And by peak traffic, I mean Dubai peak traffic. The one that makes you extremely annoyed. The one that makes you want to pull out the indicator stop just so that you have something to throw at the person who is cutting in your lane right in the front. And whenever you're in that sort of mood or that sort of environment, you're always kind of annoyed. However, I realized in peak Dubai traffic, this car helped me stay calm. It wasn't just one thing, it was a combination of things that makes the drive experience of the MG8 so much calming. First, the soft ride. The MG8 has some really soft suspension, and that makes commuting in this car feel like asking Tiger Woods to basically take a swing with his golf club. Meant to be. Second, the NVH levels. No, there isn't any fancy elements like double glazing windows and all of that. However, for everyday city driving, this is more than good enough. Third, the seats. MG calls it zero gravity seats, and it apparently seems to have a lot of NASA inspiration. Now, I don't know much about aerospace, except I have seen Interstellar twice. However, I do know that the lower back is supported really well in these seats. It's basically like that exact part that hurts a lot after you do a very long journey. That part is very well cushioned and supported. So if you do a lot of drives which basically span over 100 kilometers, which is what I have done a couple of times with this car, you won't get out of this car tired or broken at that part. And that is real comfort for me. Fourth, the simplistic cabin and digital interface. Now, if I'm sitting in traffic, I wouldn't want to have the options of basically 10,000 ambient lighting colors and feel like a nightclub. I would want to have something a lot more soothing, more calming. And MG8 has just that. It has a very soothing cabin experience. All the colors are very easy to the eye and very sober. The visibility is great because you have a lot of window area all around the car, and the digital interface is also as simplistically straightforward as it can get. Just a speedometer up front, the graphics for what the car is doing in terms of managing energy, and your trip computer on the right. That is it. And then comes the bit of regenerative braking. Now in 2026, every EV or hybrid car has it, but the way that they do it is very aggressive in most cars, or very jerky rather. With the MG8, the situation is not so, in a positive way. Regenerative braking on the MG8 is a lot calmer, a lot gradual, a lot easier for the driver to basically comprehend. It does get two intensity modes, low and high, but even in the highest setting, it almost felt like coasting, where instead of the brake calipers actually holding and grabbing the rotors, it feels like your fingers are doing the job. You get what I mean? So within minutes, you actually feel a lot more confident while driving the car. And the more quickly you learn how to drive the car, the more relaxing the whole driving experience becomes. So kudos to MG for basically getting that calibration right and making it feel, again, a lot calming to drive. Though, I have a question that, do all PHEVs feel the same way, or is it just the MG8 PHEV? If you also own a hybrid car, do let me know in the comments as to if your experience has been similar to what I described just now. But overall, if I have to summarize how the MG8 PHEV feels, it feels very calming, very relaxing, very easy car to drive, both in the city and on highways. There is a bit of character to this car, which if you want to know, stay tuned to the rest of the video. And more importantly, if you're curious about what kind of real world mileage you would get with this car, stay till the end. Mileage is just one of the factors that makes you buy the car. The first point of contact with any car that you would buy is design. And the MG8 looks contemporary, with a clean, fastback silhouette, sharp, confident LED lighting, both at the front and the rear, a low, wide, purposeful stance, and proportions that look surprisingly European. And that's important because Europeans know how to do sedans. They've been perfecting the recipe of sedans for decades now. And this MG8 PHEV certainly has that little bit of the European flavor to its design. It's not over-designed. It's not trying too hard to prove something. It's just mature, and fittingly so because of the premium executive mid-size sedan segment that it's catering to. So if you're someone who likes to have a grown-up design on their cars, the MG8 PHEV certainly fits the bill. But does that same level of maturity gets reflected inside the cabin? In a word, yes. And those signs of maturity can be seen the most at this rear seat, which has been designed for proper big adults instead of just teenagers. Because look at the amount of leg room I have. And then you also get electronic controls for the front passenger seat, which by the way are only seen in luxury cars. And you can push this seat to almost just before eternity. So you can actually free up a lot more leg room for yourself at the rear seat. The headroom is a little bit tight because of the sloping roofline. However, there's a very small transmission hump at the rear, which means that 3 proper teenagers or 2 very, very big adults can sit comfortably at this rear seat. The cockpit, just like the exterior, has a clean, modern, grown-up design. Screens, 2 of them, are integrated nicely instead of looking like stuck-on afterthoughts. The two-tone finish makes the cabin look upmarket, and materials like micro suede and leatherette makes it feel premium. The top end trim further offers seat ventilation, which means there will be lesser instances of road rage. This being a PHEV, MG has integrated both elements from the ICE as well as EV inside the cabin. For instance, the electric vehicle elements include no start-stop button, so you basically start the car by pressing on the brake. The gear lever is not on the center console but on the steering wheel column. Whereas with respect to the ICE elements, you get proper physical buttons for your aircon on the dashboard and physical buttons for your volume controls and infotainment systems on the steering wheel. In terms of storage spaces, there's a whole lot of options on the center console of the MG8. For instance, you get 2 spaces for your phones, which are also wireless chargers, 2 cup holders for cups obviously, more storage space underneath the armrest, and if you want even more storage than that, you can always rely on the lower level of the center console. The driver's seat gets a memory function, so that should keep the father of the family less angry in case other family members do decide to take the car out. And then the infotainment system is a very easy software, so there's almost no learning curve at all. And it also gets Apple CarPlay and Android Auto in case you want really no learning curve whatsoever. Though nobody's perfect, and the MG8 also has things that you'll need to get used to. For instance, the smartphone connectivity I mentioned earlier is a wired connection, and that too with a USB Type-A port. The memory seat function is hidden in the infotainment system instead of having physical buttons. You get basic cruise control, but the superb highway cruising capability without adaptive cruise control feels like a missed opportunity. But the most borderline annoying part that I found while driving this car was this panel. Now, and that's something that you'll have to get used to it, because usually when you have a set of controls on the dashboard, you have the labeling of what the buttons do exactly on top of the button. However, with the MG8, the case is not so, because there's a different panel which basically showcases what the labels are meant to do, and the actual button is been placed right below it. While driving at night, I found it really hard to put on the hazard lights because first of all, I was trying to press the button that actually had the label on it, which was not the button in the first place. And secondly, the button that actually activates this light is not backlit. So I was trying to find the button within the panel, even though it was just below it. As a first timer, it kind of caught me off guard, but that is just something that you'll have to get used to. But apart from all of that, prices for the MG8 PHEV start at around 91,000 dirhams, and the top end variant goes up to around 100,000 dirhams. Now, if it were me, I would choose to pay that extra 10,000 dirhams only because of the various features it offers, the various comfort features it adds, which kind of ultimately makes your whole driving experience a lot convenient, a lot relaxing, unlike the guy who just came in and swooped in my lane, which is what I was telling you about. If it was in any other car, I would have basically yanked the indicator stalk and threw at him, but in this car, nothing. MG8. But apart from all that, the top spec does make a lot of sense if you are about to buy the MG8. Now coming to the final bit, the mileage and the character. Now, in terms of real world mileage, even though MG claims that this offers 1655 kilometers on a single tank of fuel and the battery capacity it has, keep in mind that those are claimed figures, which means the tests that are done to come to that kind of result is done in controlled environments, which is very different from what you actually do in real world situations. So if your expectations are that you'll get that kind of amount, you're setting yourself up for disappointment. However, in real world conditions, we did manage to get up to 4.5, 4.6 liters per 100 kilometers. That is close to 21 kilometers per liter of mileage. And that is just the fuel tank. Add around 5 to 10 kilometers per liter, or rather kilometers per watt with respect to the electric energy, you're seeing close to 25 to 30 kilometers per liter and battery capacity in mileage. And that is fantastic in today's day and age. And now the final part, the character. And I think I have one word that sums up the entire character of this car, and that would be mature. Because being mature, you basically know what to focus on. And the MG8 PHEV knows very well what it needs to focus on, and that is being a comfortable cruiser that can ferry 4 people or even 5 from point A to point B without a lot of fuss while maintaining proper efficiency. It does everything very simply, very gradually, yet very maturely. This is a car that you would want to buy because you want to prioritize your own comfort instead of showing it off to your neighbors. Because true maturity actually also involves focusing on yourself. And this gets the job done in a very mature way. Share this video with your family and friends if they are looking to buy a very efficient yet very stress-free car that does the job exactly right and doesn't make a fuss about it. Apart from that, thank you for watching. Do like and leave a comment if you like the review, and we'll see you in the next one.